Hi, this is Karen Rowland, founder of Providence. Welcome to my new weekly Wellbeing podcast, Real People, Real Conversations, Real Life. We'll be talking about all things relating to the human experience. What makes up a life? What creates joy and happiness? What makes humans the same or different? How do we care for ourselves and each other? We'll even try to answer the 5 W's of well-being: who, what, when, where, and why, and how this all fits together. A little ambitious? Maybe, but join us as we connect with local topic experts, peers, mentors, and healers. Welcome to Hush Providence, a well-being podcast. I'm excited today to introduce Michelle Clark to today's episode. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you so much for having me, Karen. I'm really excited about this opportunity to be a part of your podcast.
Thank you. You are the Executive Director of the American Heart Association, Southern New England chapter. You've been doing that for almost 2 years. The former Director of the American Heart Association Go RED for Women movement. You were the former Development and Operations Director for the March of Dimes, and you have an MBA from George Washington University. What else can you tell us about your career journey?
Absolutely. So I have been obviously in the development world for about 9 years now. And before that, many moons ago, back when I first graduated from undergrad and then my master's degree, I was in finance and banking. And so I was really taking a different path. Then I was blessed with 2 beautiful daughters. And so I did spend some time home with them. And when it came time to go back into the workforce, I knew that the initial role that I was in wasn't what I wanted to do, and I wanted to be making a difference and giving back. And so hence I found the nonprofit world. And I've been very happy here, at the American Heart Association for 5 years, and for just over 4 years at the March of Dimes before that.
Maybe you could share just a little bit more about what the American Heart Association, the mission, the purpose.
Absolutely. So the American Heart Association, I mean, every day I will tell you that I learn more and more about what we do as an organization, and it is so broad. The mission of the American Heart Association is to be a relentless force for a world of longer, healthier lives, which is, again, so broad. We do so many different things. As a note, and the American Heart Association will turn 100 years old in June of 2024. So we've been funding research. We have been educating and sharing our mission. We run scholarship programs. We bring together CEOs from the largest Fortune 1000 companies to help direct the work, the health of our workforce. The list continues to go on and on. And what I'm excited to share is we have this new vision as we step into the 2nd century, which is advancing hope, health and hope for everyone, everywhere, which is amazing that this is the work that I get to help fund. So that's kind of a little step into where we are. And again, this podcast could be 3 hours long if I list all of the work that we're doing in the community to help everyone have healthier lives. That's the end goal of the American Heart Association.
That's awesome. And now a shout out to our sponsor, the Good Seed Market, 138 Central Avenue, Seekonk, Massachusetts. Started in 1989 by 3 friends with a goal of creating a neighborhood market offering simple, natural, organic products for a healthy lifestyle. Now a member of the independent Natural Foods Retailer Association, our friends at the Good Seed are offering our listeners a 10% discount on their first purchase just by mentioning Hush Providence. The Good Seed Market, a place where ideas can grow. So heart disease is the leading cause of death worldwide. The CDC reports 695,000 people in the United States died from heart disease in 2021. Maybe you could share some of the American Heart Association stats, some of the impacts.
Yeah, so the American Heart Association, to your point, the number 1 killer of everyone. It unfortunately takes the lives of more people than all types of cancer together. And it is not completely preventable, but it is certainly a large percentage of heart disease can be prevented if a healthy lifestyle and monitoring and taking close care of yourself. We have what's called a Life's Essential 8, which digs into really digs into how you can better take care of yourself. And it's really, really important information that can be Googled, and it's easy to take a look at, but it really digs into the health behaviors, things that we can do to make sure that we have a better healthy life, right? Be active, don't smoke, don't use tobacco of any sort, get a good night's sleep, like really things that make sense. But oftentimes when we're living our lives and they're crazy, it's harder than one thinks. And then when you throw in you know, health equity, and you throw in people coming from under-resourced communities, it makes it all the harder to live that healthy life. So we want to both share, shine the light on that disparity and be able to help make impact in the communities that aren't as lucky to have the opportunity to have a healthy grocery store right down the street and the money to buy said healthy food. So that's work that we're doing to really dig in to move the needle on healthy long lives, because it's certainly, if you don't live in a community or have access to things like some, you don't have the ability to have that longer, healthier life.
Maybe we should take just a minute or two and talk about some of the warning signs of a heart attack and stroke, and some of the things that we can do today to change some of those outcomes, which you kind of touched on.
Yeah. So the warning signs of a heart attack can look very, very different on many people. Typically, it was thought of as many years ago as a man's disease, a heavy, overweight, middle-aged man clutching his chest and falling to the ground. Obviously, that can still certainly happen and does still happen, and that's unfortunate. In a woman, it can look very different. Oftentimes, they see jaw pain, tension in the back, and so I think the real important message is to say, for anyone, man, woman, listen to your body. If something feels off, if something feels off, it is important to seek medical attention. It is important to monitor your blood pressure. That elevated blood pressure is something that you wouldn't necessarily know you have, but it is what we call the silent killer, and can cause damage within your heart and in your arteries. So that's a very important piece, making sure, if you are hypertensive or have high blood pressure, that's treated. So I would say for heart disease, really listening to your body and making sure that you're being seen by a medical professional for those annual physicals, and then that if something changes or something is off, that you seek medical attention. And as far as a stroke, really making sure that everyone understands what the signs are, because the quicker that you can get into into a facility where they have this amazing technology, which I'll speak to a little bit further on my own personal journey. But if you understand that you see a face drooping, maybe the arm isn't able to hold itself up, speech slurring, it's really important to get to a hospital as fast as possible. And so the acronym there is FAST: face, arm, speech, and time to get to the hospital. And so if everyone has concept of that, because again, we see so many survivors who are young and have a stroke, and they're 15, they're 20, they're in great shape. There is no rhyme or reason necessarily, outwardly that this could be happening. So if everyone is aware, and then we can get folks quickly to the hospital, much better much better success rate in terms of survival and not being severely disabled.
Important reminders. Thank you for sharing that. Now we're going to do a little speed dating, sort of the top 5 programs offered by the American Heart Association, some of your amazing events. So let's start with the Leaders of Impact, which you celebrate at the annual Heart Ball.
Yeah, so this is a new campaign, a peer-to-peer fundraising campaign, which allows us to get into the community and really these folks who are nominated to be members of this campaign really get into the community and share our messaging, a different level of fundraising than we've done at the American Heart Association before. And then we invite them to be our guests at the Heart Ball, which we just had last Friday, and it was a huge success. And everyone who has competed in either Leaders of Impact or Women of Impact, which the Women of Impact is celebrated at the Go RED for Women Luncheon, has really enjoyed the opportunity to get to know a little bit more about the Heart Association. And we've been really successful in raising critical dollars. I'm excited to share that my daughter was a nominee a few years ago and just really had a great time with it. And it's always good to teach our young people to the importance of giving back and making a difference in the community.
I love that. And the annual Heart Walk.
Yes, so our Heart Walk will take place this year. It takes place every year in June. And so it'll be June 8th this year. We're excited to have Kim McCarthy from Washington Trust chairing that event. And we had just over 50 company teams come out last year. And to celebrate our 100th anniversary this year, we're looking to double that to 100 companies. It's just a special, fun day. Some people run it, most people walk it. If you can't do the full 3 miles, there's a shorter distance, and it's really just a lovely celebration to kick off the summer.
And where is that held?
It will be held this year at Rhode Island College.
Awesome. And you mentioned the Go RED Luncheon, one of my favorite events.
I feel so lucky to have led that event for a number of years and get to still be involved with it. The Go RED for Women Luncheon will take place on February 9th, 2024, again at the Rhode Island Convention Center. This year, Go RED nationally is celebrating its 20th year, along with our 100th year celebration for the American Heart Association. And so that event brings between 500 and 700 people to the convention center for just a beautiful morning. Hush is typically in attendance at the Festival of Red. So that's a really special opportunity for members here watching to come and take advantage of the offerings there. And then we have a really powerful program highlighting survivors and a yummy lunch and just a nice way in the heart of the Go RED to come out and celebrate and be all warm and cozy in the winter together.
And STEM Goes RED.
Yeah, so STEM Goes RED we've been doing it for about 4 years. And initially STEM Goes RED was brought because under the Go RED umbrella, because so few young women find themselves in a STEM career. And we wanted, the American Heart Association and Go RED for Women wanted to help steward women into those careers and just share with them some really fascinating women in those careers. So basically we bring women who are leaders in a STEM field and allow them to share their journey with these young women. Just again, there's no metrics. We don't know what the outcome is in terms of driving them, but really just to inspire. And hopefully one day we will fund the research that these young women are doing, because the American Heart Association, many of the dollars that we fund in research go to early investigators, and that really propels their career forward. So we want to do that with young women. And in the last year that we did this STEM, we did open it up to not just women. We opened it up to young people, and really trying to make a difference in those under-resourced communities where they might not have the opportunity to have someone in their life who has gone to college or is in the medical field or is in the research field. And so really to just inspire any young person who doesn't have that opportunity. So it's a really, really fun program.
And I'm excited about this last one. The American Heart Association is partnering with Deloitte and SHRM to look at the health equity in the workforce. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, and this is just again speaks to the work that the American Heart Association does globally and bringing together, really acting as not a catalyst, a convener to bring groups who have like-minded end games. And we um, we know that the workforce is where many of us spend a lot of our time, and coming together, and I'm so excited to see this
Mm.
opportunity that the three really powerful organizations coming together um, to help make a difference in the workforce. And it is something I'm still learning a little bit about, because it's not something we do here, boots on the ground, but it is. SHRM has been, at least locally here, a great partner of the American Heart Association. So I'm so happy to see it really elevating the relationship.
That's awesome. That's exciting news for sure.
Yeah.
Um, and let's talk a little bit about mental health crisis that's growing in everywhere, right? Actually, right now, and especially the news this week coming out of Maine. I know that the American Heart Association is doing a lot of work around this. Maybe you could talk to that.
Yeah, it's obviously so sad what's happening in Maine, and we're a part of our community here in the eastern states. It's very devastating. Um, Obviously, COVID just shined a light on mental health and well-being. So we know that um, well-being, your overall well-being, your mental well-being, is such an important part of your physical health. And truly, stress and not taking care of your mental health 100% affects your physical health. And with the stress, some of the quotes are that the workplace stress is the new secondhand smoking, and it's just some quotes that the American Heart Association puts out. And so it is very important. Our CEO roundtable has come together and is working to put policy in place in those corporations, and advise other corporations on how to create a healthier workforce. We have a program called Wellbeing Works Better, which basically allows an organization to go in. We have, everything with the American Heart Association is uh, science based. So if the American Heart Association is putting it out, you can trust that science has been tested, and that that with all the information that we have currently, it is really really powerful, usable information. And so the Wellbeing Works Better. It allows the typically the human resources department to go in, answer some questions, learn a bit more about how they can make their workforce a healthier environment for their mental well-being. And then receive feedback, and you can receive accolades depending on how you continue to move the needle forward. So it's something that the American Heart Association is um, finds very, very important. In fact, we just brought on our board the chief well-being officer for Brown Medical School, because here locally we want to have our board represent the important work that we're doing on a national level as well. And she's just been a great addition.
I love that. That's awesome. And you have great resources right on your website too. So I encourage people to check that out. And there's information about just some simple things you can do about gratitude. You also talk about the seasons, and that's sort of a trigger for some people. So there's some great information. And again, please check that out on their website. Switching gears a little bit, let's talk about your personal health journey.
Yes. So about a year ago at this time, I started experiencing some double vision. And as I told you in the beginning, it's really important to listen to your body and go to see a doctor. So instead of doing that, though, because I am busy and whatever, it was just double vision. I'm sure there was just something happening and it was going to go away. Well, it didn't go away. And finally, which again, I'm the one preaching this, and I still didn't go to the doctor right away. So I know how hard it is, but it's so important. And I'm just going to keep saying it. And I will obviously, continue to do that. So um, I finally did go to the doctor, and I finally did get an MRI after some hurdles. And I had a very, very large aneurysm right here in my brain. putting me at a very high risk for that rupturing and even higher risk for having a stroke. So I went in, thankfully, the research funded by the American Heart Association and the American Stroke Association allowed my doctor to put a stent in the artery. And since I have gone back and this aneurysm was huge. It is still not gone, but 2 of the nodules are gone, and the other is much smaller. And so now I don't have to go back for a year, and things seem to be going well. So that is wonderful. I'm so thankful I finally listened to my body, and I'm so thankful that we have had this amazing technology, because it certainly could have ended very, very differently for me. With and so I'm now my work is not that it wasn't always personal, but it is very personal now.
I'm so happy you took care of that and you're doing what you need to do, and you were surrounded by amazing family and friends. And so we're all thankful that everything turned out the way that it did.
Thank you.
A couple more questions for you.
Okay.
So you're in the business of taking care of everybody else. So how do you take time and make it a priority for taking care of yourself, especially given what you just talked about?
Right. So I think it really shined a light on that for me, and made me realize that I, need to get out for my lunchtime walks every day, because that works for me and clears my head and allows me to, take in the fresh air. And for me, that works. I'm not suggesting that would work for everyone, but you have to find what works for you to allow you to take a step back and focus on yourself, which can be hard, right? With working and whether there are kids or not, and the stresses of all that. So I have definitely make sure that that's a priority. I now have a standing walking desk on my treadmill, which was easy to install, and just kind of continuing to move and continuing to take that space that I need, to breathe and to just be conscious and be aware of myself, and when I know that I need to take a break or I need to walk away from a stressful situation. So that has worked for me, to allow me to show up healthy and well for my employees, for my family, for my volunteers. If I'm not showing up well and ready, then there's no way I can help and support all of them. So so that works for me.
Awesome. And if you were writing an autobiography, what would this chapter be called in your life?
I love that question. I did do some pondering over that, and I think I would call it Finding Balance. Initial stages of my career, I was focused on working and making a lot of money and doing, in that, and then I changed and focused hardcore on my family, and so now I'm finding balance in life, and being able to try and balance it all. I sent a daughter off to college this year, and so balancing having her away and the needs that she still has, and the one at home and the husband and the work, so all of that. So which I think I would suggest it's really a lovely time of life, and I'm so again, what happened to me this last year really allows you to say, wow, I'm just so thankful to be here for all of it. So
That's awesome. I love that. I love that for you.
thank you.
And how can people connect if they want to learn more about the American Heart Association or join one of these amazing events that we talked about? What's the best way for them to do that?
We would welcome that. We are always looking for new volunteers, whether to help at the events or to help lead a campaign or around our board. So reaching directly out to me at michelle.clark@heart.org, and that's Michelle with MICHELLE.Clark CLARK would be wonderful. We are also on all the social media channels at AHA Rhode Island, which is also another really powerful way to follow and see what we have going on. I think those would be the best ways to get in touch with us, and I would welcome the opportunity.
Michelle, thank you so much for taking the time today and sharing your story. It's an inspiration to everyone. I love all the work that you're doing in the community. And to all of our listeners, until next time, be well. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to Hush Providence, a Wellbeing podcast. This would not be possible without the incredible help from Jamie Farinella and Stephanie Whitehead on branding and logo concept, John Papa's endless generosity, David Davignon and Austin Lynch for their skilled technical expertise, and of course, our amazing guests and all of you, our listeners. Until next time, be well.